Today, let's talk about Jeor Mormont, also known as the Old Bear. This is discussing the character based on the books. If you are a show-only watcher, you can watch the Jeor Mormont books recap to get a bigger picture of the Old Bear. That video should release this week. Jeor Mormont was born in 230 AC, and he had one sibling, Meg Mormont, someone he could barely stand and calls a hoary old snark. Hardly anything is known of his youth, but he claims he knew Stannis Baratheon, Maester Pycelle, and Sir Barristan Selmy when he was in it. At one point, he inherited the rule of Bear Island from his father, along with the Mormont's ancestral Valyrian steel blade, Longclaw. Jeor Mormont would continue to rule and eventually have a son, Jeor Mormont, with an unknown woman. Before Robert's Rebellion in 282 AC, the Old Bear would abdicate his seat to give his son, Jorah, a chance to rule while in his prime. Jeor would head to the Night's Watch to join the Black Brothers, something seen as highly honorable in the North. Before leaving, he would give Jorah Longclaw. At the Wall, the Old Bear rose through the ranks quickly, and in 288 AC, he became elected the 997th Lord Commander of the Watch. He would command the Black Brothers from his headquarters at Castle Black. As Lord Commander, the Old Bear was concerned with the decline of the Night's Watch and the increased threat of wildlings beyond the Wall. Benjen Stark, his first ranger, would convince him to abandon the regular patrols and instead use a random system with varying numbers of patrols and days of their departure to make it difficult for the wildlings to guess their moves. He would even have large forces garrisoned at random abandoned castles for 2 to 4 weeks at a time. Eventually, Jeor would hear of his son Jorah's participation in the slave trade and his fleeing to Essos to avoid the penalty of death. However, Jorah left Longclaw, and Meg Mormont would travel to the Wall to return the sword to Jeor. The sword would remind the Old Bear of his son's shame, so he hid it away in his room so he wouldn't have to look at it. When we meet Jeor in the first book, he is still the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch and described as a gruff old man with an immense bald head and a shaggy gray beard. Despite being 2 years away from 70, he is a strong man, and a raven is often seen with him who he feeds kernels of corn. It can be said he's not always the most delicate man, with encouraging remarks such as, "Tarly, you're fat, but you're not stupid, boy. You did well back there." Or when trying to break the news of Ned Stark's charges of treason to Jon Snow, and he grumbles, "I told you to sit, and have a drink, damn you. That's a command, Snow." But he does give great advice. "Tarly, when I was a lad half your age, my lady mother told me that if you stood about with your mouth open, a weasel was like to mistake it for his lair and run down my throat. If you have something to say it. Otherwise, beware of the weasels." And I guess his humor could be described as a bit dark. When someone says the brothers of the Night's Watch could die, he replies, "But as another Lord Commander said 1,000 years ago, that is why they dress us in black." But he is also pragmatic. He tells Jon Snow, "The wide world is full of people wanting to help Jon. Would that some people could find the courage to help themselves. Craster sprawls in his loft even now, stinking of wine and lost to sense. On his board below lies a sharp new axe. Were it me, I'd name it Answered Prayer, and make an end." He realizes that if people tried to help themselves instead of just asking others, they'd realize a lot of their prayers could be answered by their own actions. So, from other characters' point of view chapters, we get a better picture of the Old Bear, an old man that gave up his home for his son and chose to take the black as an honorable pursuit. He's gruff, but what would you expect of a man that leads a group of thieves, rapists, murderers, liars, and, for the most part, unwanted men? He cares deeply for the Night's Watch and understands that they are his family, no matter how much he loves his own blood. But that doesn't mean he doesn't grieve or miss his first family. He tells Tyrion, "A visit home would only stir up feelings best left alone. I know these things. My own blood kin. My sister Meg rules Bear Island now, since my son's dishonor. I have nieces I have never seen." When talking to Jon Snow about how he isn't the only one touched by the War of the Five Kings, he tells him, "Like as not, my sister is marching in your brother's host. Her and those daughters of hers, dressed in men's mail. Meg is a hoary old snark, stubborn, short-tempered, and willful. Truth be told, I can hardly stand to be around the wretched woman, but that does not mean my love for her is any less than the love you bear for your half-sisters. Or perhaps it does. Be that as it may, I'd still grieve if she were slain, yet you don't see me running off. I said the words. My place is here." So despite his love for his family, Jeor knows that there is a bigger fight, and when dead men come hunting in the night, it doesn't matter who sits the Iron Throne or how much you love your family. Another telling bit is when he gives this advice to Jon. "The things we love destroy us every time, lad. Remember that." Some dismiss this as a way of easing the news he's about to reveal to Jon, about his father being named a traitor, and help him understand his place is now at the Wall. But I always took that line to hit a bit deeper. Jeor loved his son, and the shame Jorah brought to the family destroyed him. So much he couldn't even look at his own family sword anymore. It seems a lot easier to bury yourself in your new family than think about your old family that only pains you. But despite the New Watch becoming his new family, we learn throughout the first 3 books, mostly first 2, that the Old Bear is not impressed with the state of the Night's Watch. But Tyrion feels that maybe at the end of a long life, with most of it spent in the service of the Night's Watch, Jeor wants to make sure it meant something. When Tyrion Lannister visits the Wall, Mormont attempts to use him to help the Night's Watch, which isn't surprising as he told Jon Snow that the Night's Watch is not proud and they take what is offered. When attempting to get aid for the Wall, Jeor tells Tyrion, "Your sister sits beside the king. Your brother is a great knight, and your father the most powerful lord in the 7 kingdoms. Speak to them for us. Tell them of our need. You have seen yourself, my lord. The Night's Watch is dying. Our strength is less than 1,000 now. 600 here, 200 in the Shadow Tower, and fewer at East Watch, and a scant third of those fighting men. The Wall is 100 leagues long. Think on that. Should an attack come, I have 3 men to defend each mile of wall." The Old Bear also mentions being too old and too weary for the burden he bears, yet he feels there is no one else to pick it up. We see the decline of the Night's Watch grieves him, and he fears that there isn't enough strong, capable men at the Wall. This keeps him commanding, even though he expresses how tired he is, and that the years of leading and making tough decisions have taken a toll on him. A toll we also see when he agrees to send men to scout while at the Fist. He slumps in his chair, silent, as if the burden of speech had grown too heavy for him to bear. He knows sending those men will most likely mean death. He finally says, "May the gods forgive me. Choose your men." And we actually learn one of his biggest fears for the Night's Watch very early on in the first book. He fears that the Night's Watch is becoming an army of sullen boys and tired old men, with less than 20 who can read and fewer that can think or plan or lead. He seems absolutely exasperated with the men he has to use and man the Wall with. We continue to see his exasperation when they find 2 bodies of Benjen's men. He asks where the other 4 are. When a man replies he doesn't know, Mormont is not pleased. He responds, "2 of our brothers butchered almost within sight of the Wall, yet your rangers heard nothing, saw nothing? Is this what the Night's Watch has fallen to? Do we still sweep these woods? Do we still mount watch? This man wears a hunting horn. Must I suppose that he died without sounding it? Or have your rangers all gone deaf, as well as blind?" He again hints at lack of leadership when telling Jon Snow he's going to write a letter asking for Lord Eddard to be allowed to take the Black. He adds, "Gods know, we need men of Lord Eddard's ability." Lastly, even before the Old Bear curses that the Night's Watch has forgotten its purpose after he sees the dead reanimate, we get the sense that he believed the others were out there. We see this in his warning to Tyrion, and in asking him to tell his family they need help. He tells Tyrion that the days are getting shorter and that darkness is coming. "There are wild things in the woods, direwolves and mammoths and snow bears. I have seen darker shapes in my dreams. The fisher folk near Eastwatch have glimpsed white walkers on the shore. These are old bones, Lannister, but they have never felt a chill like this. Tell the king what I say, I pray you. Winter is coming, and when the long night falls, only the Night's Watch will stand between the realm and the darkness that sweeps from the north. The gods help us all if we are not ready." He again mentions something is coming right before the 2 whites reanimate in Castle Black. He says, "If ever the realm needed a strong king, there are dark days and cold nights ahead. I feel it in my bones." Later, after the white attack, he says, "There will be more, though. I can feel it in these old bones of mine. The cold winds are rising, summer is at an end, and a winter is coming such as this world has never seen." Jeor, and maybe with the help of his first men blood, could sense that something was off and something was coming. But he didn't know enough at the time to make the changes needed to combat the coming of the others. Fast Jeor fact, because I know you can't get enough of the Old Bear. Jeor is very particular about his hot spice wine. There must be so much cinnamon, nutmeg, and honey, and not a drop more. Raisins, nuts, and dried berries, but no lemon. The drink must be hot to warm a man properly, but the wine must never be allowed to come to a boil. What do you think of the Old Bear? A gruff man trying to do his best for the Night's Watch. His new family that he feels isn't up to snuff. What do you think the Old Bear could have done better? Do you believe he was a good leader? Do you secretly wish this video was about Jeor Bear? New Game of Thrones A Song of Ice and Fire videos twice a week. We still have guest write videos, theory videos, and other Northern houses to get through, including some more Bolton videos. and hopefully soonish we'll venture to the wall and beyond.